Hello everyone, and today I'll be reading a Furina Listener, so let's get into it. Fontane's offer of a class was full of grandeur. It was as breathtaking as ever, and the applause from the audience faded into the background as the curtains closed. You stood backstage, watching Furina bow one last time, her dazzling smile fixed in place. She was radiant, every gesture filled with her signature flair. Yet, as she turned and walked towards you, you saw the cracks in her mask, the slight tremble in her hands, and the flicker of exhaustion in her eyes. Another stunning performance, you softly greeted her, offering a warm smile. The people adore you. She waved a hand dismissively, her voice breezy but strained. Of course they do. What else would they expect from their Hydro Archon? She said, chuckling a little bit, but it did not reach her eyes. And you reached out to take her hand, gently pulling her away from the bustling stagehands and into a quiet corner backstage. Furina, you said gently, your thumb brushing over her knuckles. Are you really okay? I'm perfectly fine. Why wouldn't I be? She replied too quickly, her tongue clipped. Because I know you. You responded, searching her face. And I can tell when you're putting on a performance, even when it's off stage. Her eyes darted away, and for a moment, she seemed to deflate, her shoulders sagging. But then, she stiffened, pulling her hand away. I don't need to be coddled. I am the Hydro Archon, and I don't have the luxury of breaking down. She snapped, though it looks like she was on the verge of a breakdown, and her voice was fragile. Furina, I have to be perfect, always charming, always poised, always enough. But it's never enough, is it? No matter what I do, they will never stop doubting me, whispering about how I'm not like the other Archons. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Every day I'm more scared than the last. Your heart ached at her words. The raw vulnerability she rarely allowed herself was now spilling out like a flood. You don't have to be perfect. Not all the time. Especially not in front of me. You said, stepping closer, and she shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. You don't understand. If I'm not perfect, if I'm not the Hydro Archon, then who am I? What am I? She shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. You're Furina, you said firmly, placing your hands on her shoulders. The girl who lights up every room she enters. The person who cares deeply for her people, even if the people will never understand what you're doing for them. And you're the girl that I love. Her breath hitched at your words, and she stared at you, her facade crumbling. I don't feel like her right now. I feel like nothing, she whispered, her voice trembling. And without hesitation, you pulled her into your arms, holding her tightly as she finally let the tears fall. She clung to you, her fingers digging into your back as she buried her face in your shoulder. It's okay to feel this way. You don't have to carry it all alone. I'm here for you. He murmured gently, her hand stroking her hair. And she didn't respond immediately, her sobs muffled against your chest. But as the minutes passed, Her breathing began to steady, the tension in her body easing slightly. "I'm so sorry," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "You've got nothing to apologize for," you responded, pulling back just enough to meet her gaze. And she wiped at her eyes, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "I really must look like a mess." "You look human, and you're beautiful," he whispered, brushing a tear from her cheek. And a small, shaky laugh bubbled out of her, and she leaned into her touch. "How do you always know exactly what to say?" "I just tell you the truth. You are enough, Furina. You've always been, and you always will be." He replied with a gentle smile, and her lips quirked into a faint smile, and she rested her forehead against yours. "You're too good to me." "That's impossible. You deserve every bit of love and support I can give." You respond, kissing your cheek, and for a moment, the two of you simply stayed like that. And you forgot about the audience outside, the people who were just clapping for Furina a moment ago. And her people, the Fontanians, that she fought for every day. The weight of her insecurities, the expectations of her role, all of it seemed distant now, and important, compared to the warmth shared with you. And when she finally pulled back, her eyes were clearer, her smile a bit more genuine. "Thank you for reminding me who I am." "Always. Now, how about we get out of here and go somewhere quiet? Just the two of us," you suggest, taking her hand and squeezing it gently. And she nodded, her fingers curling around yours. "That sounds perfect." And as you led her away from the stage, you knew that no matter how heavy the crown she bore, she wouldn't have to carry it alone. Not as long as you were by her side.